Heather Rice is a Charleston-based singer and songwriter who's known for her powerful voice and intelligent songwriting. I talk one-on-one with Heather for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Heather Rice, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to meet you.
Oh, you're welcome. Nice to meet you virtually as well. Obviously, you are a Charleston-based singer and songwriter who's obviously known for your powerful voice and intelligent songwriting. So, what's new, what's now with Heather Rice music?
Well, there's a lot going on right now. It's a very busy spring for me. I have little children, so most of my days are filled with playing with a 5.5-year-old named Leo and an 18-month little girl named Eliza. So I'm lucky that I get to do that, and then I also get to do music. So my concerts are really picking up, and I'm really enjoying that. Charleston Jazz Orchestra is featuring me in their concert on Saturday, and it's called Summer Samba. And that's going to be like bossa nova, Antonio Carlos Jobim songs. One of his more unique and off the beaten path songs called Waters of March, which I'm really excited about because I've always wanted to do it. And I have 2 other concerts in July that are taking a lot of preparation right now that I'm like so excited about.
Oh, I bet.
So cool. This all original compositions.
Wow.
So July 19th at the Gibbs Museum, I will be premiering an original concert that the Charleston Jazz has asked me to do, and it's called The Art of Jazz is the series, and they do it in the summertime. And my concert is based on the work of Damien Stamer, and he's an abstract artist, Southern Gothic structures and like the energy and the abstract like what he takes a photograph and works from that, and he paints some of these places over and over and over again and pulls out all of the magic of the old barn tobacco on a tobacco farm, like North Carolina, anything in the South. He really focuses on those structures and the magic that he's pulling out of these places and putting on canvas is very inspiring to me because my mother's from Alabama.
Oh.
And I grew up going back to this tiny little place called Castleberry and this structure that was our old family home long ago. So I'm inspired by his work, and I will write a concert. I've already started writing it. And then we'll premiere it July 19th at the Gibbs Museum with Stuart White and Tyler Ross. Great band.
Yes.
I'm also going to incorporate, to figure it out, but I'm going to incorporate some artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Because he does that in his paintings. So I'm super psyched about that. And then the North Charleston Pops has taken me on as a featured soloist, and they really like my original music. So we're going to premiere 3 original compositions on the 4th of July. I'm saying all this. I can't believe it's happening.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank God for all the blessings that you've gotten. So you mentioned earlier at the top of the interview, Ms. Heather, that obviously you have 2 kids right now and you have your music career going on.
Right.
So where's the balance?
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. It's not something that I have been able to really define. It's because it's in every week, every month, and the thing is, a lot of concerts and events, music stuff, books months in advance. So I really try to be forward thinking. I think about where the family is in the school year. I think about how old my children will be. I think about how many other concerts I have going on in that area of time. And I'm really trying with the balance because I feel like, I hope that I am an extremely present mom. Like at times it feels like I'm a full-time stay-at-home mom. And then at other times it feels like, I'm out doing these musical events and concerts. Like I had 2 booked in 1 week a couple weeks ago, and we decided that was a little too much
Yep.
for me to be, because I had to go
Yep.
off in other states.
Wow.
So we're trying to find that balance because the kids are very young, and they won't be young forever. So in the coming years, the balance will change depending on what their needs are. But I'm very encouraged because when they were babies, well, Eliza's still a baby, but when Leo was a baby, I couldn't imagine leaving him at all,
Yeah.
like ever.
Right.
So I did a lot of stuff in Charleston. And now that Leo's older and we've kind of grown as parents, I feel like my husband, not that he doesn't need me, because he does, but for like these 1 or 2 or 3 day stints, he can be mom and dad, and he's doing an incredible job. So I'm very encouraged. It's one of those things where, like, parents have to figure out what that balance is for their family.
Right.
And me pulling away from this house has, it's taken, Leo's almost 6, and I'm just now starting to travel more. So.
And I know you mentioned earlier that the balance will change as a parent. So how will your music change as a music artist?
Yeah, that's a good question too. Well, a lot of you have to think the music is based on a lot of preparation and work and creative time. So it's all about time.
Mhm.
So there have been many times when I've had childcare or when I've had no childcare. And since I'm freelance part-time, well, at times it's been part-time, now it's seeming more like full-time because we're in busy season.
Yeah.
But because it fluctuates as a musician and as an artist, you get these great projects, and then, you may have a month where you don't have, a lot of, and that's kind of a blessing to have that rest time.
Right.
So I think that for me creatively, I am starting to understand that if I want to get something done, I have to wake up at 5 a.m. I have to, the other night, not last night, but the night before, I stayed up until 1:30 working on some arrangement stuff for the Joni Mitchell concert series. And, I can't do that every night because I have to wake up and be present for my kids, and I have to feel like not so grumpy.
Right.
But I think the balance is like, music and creativity takes time, and it's important. And so if it's important to you, it doesn't matter how much time you have in the day, like you'll find the time to do it. And that's what being a mother has done for me. It's given me this really amazing focus in saying, oh, I see now, obviously my children get the bulk of my time, but I see now how important it is for me to play music and create music. And for that, there needs to be sacrifices, sometimes of social time. Sometimes I'm sacrificing rest.
Right.
Do the thing. And anything worthwhile is going to take some amount of sacrifice.
Yeah. You talked earlier, Heather, about obviously music and creativity, that is, takes time. How much time did you give yourself for that?
Are you talking
For
about
music?
a particular project,
Oh,
or
yes. Yeah, for music. Yes, ma'am.
just music in general?
Yes, ma'am.
Time?
Yes, ma'am.
Lord. How much time have I spent in music?
Yes, ma'am.
Over 10,000 hours.
Woo.
Over 10,000 hours for sure.
Wow. And what is the biggest difference when you started your music to right now?
The biggest difference between how I feel it, how I look at it. What can you say more?
Oh, yes. Talk to me about the time that you started as a music artist to right now. What has been that growth now that you are also a parent?
Gosh, that's a great question. because I was just thinking about this the other day with Waters of March, the
Yes.
song I'm singing on Saturday. And the amount of life experience that my children have given me, the challenge of being a parent
Oh, yeah.
has really changed the way I look at life. Therefore, since music is also it's just a metaphor for life, how we're dancing through it, it has changed the way I look at music. And I think it's made it a lot more precious to me because I see it as a finite resource. I see that my time spent in music as a real honor and a blessing, and especially the time spent with other musicians. Because all the people that I work with, they know me very well and they get me, but a lot of the time I'm working with the same, 10 musicians because they just kill me. They just inspire me.
Yes.
And we'll be on a gig and it doesn't matter if there's 2 people listening, no people listening, 8,000 people listening. It doesn't matter because what we're doing right there together is so, it brings me such joy that all of a sudden I'm 7 years old and I'm like, having such a good time. You're doing such a good job. I'm like, it's like, and I was thinking like that's the whole. It's for the joy that we feel, and then we can bring to whoever is listening. And if nobody's listening, we still have all that joy going on. So I think that my perspective, I've always felt joyful in music. I guess when you're young, you think, oh, it's going to go on forever.
Right.
This song is going to go on forever.
Yes.
And I think now in my midlife and as a mother, I am starting to, just really drop into those moments a little longer because I want to be more present, if that makes sense.
Sure.
And I really will say that even as a child, I was a deep thinker, and as a teenager, also still a deep thinker. So I have always wanted to be present in these moments. I think that have that gift of being present, and yet even more so, I see that I can enjoy more. I can be more present. I can pay more attention and be more curious to those moments of music inside people's solos and inside like lyrical phrases, just that one lyrical phrase, just what is the depth that I can go into that moment. That's what's changed for me.
And what are you curious about those moments in music?
What am I curious about?
Yeah, in those moments of music.
Like when a lyrical phrase just really inspires me.
Oh yeah, that too. Yes, ma'am.
Well, sometimes when I'm singing and I'm really into the song, I can get behind any song, right?
Yes.
Like I've been a voiceover artist. I've done commercials.
Yes.
Stuff. So, at one point I was singing about Vitamix and I was like, you kind of like, if you're an artist, you can kind of get behind whatever, but there are certain songs that like Waters of March, I'll go back to since I'm so knee deep in it right now,
Yes.
where, I'll get to a phrase like a thrust up, a mile, a must, a thrust, a bump. It's a girl, it's a rhyme, it's a cold, it's the mumps. So because that lyric talks about a thrust, a bump, I always think of a pregnancy bump. And then I think of the moment when I found out that I was having a girl. And then I think about how I've been a mom for almost 6 years and I know what it feels like when your kids are sick. It's awful. You'd think, oh, a cold, it's a cold. Yeah, but like kids are super dramatic and they won't sleep and it's just, So when I can, and then there's also this other one called A Hawk, a Quail, of the Promise of Spring. We have this bird feeder that I'm like obsessed with. It always has to be full. And any like winged creature, I'm like, did that just happen? It's like miraculous to me. So being able to, like, I might be cooking in my kitchen and there's a bird, but I don't have time to sit and watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I might be looking through my photo album, but I don't have time maybe to sit and look at my pregnancy photos and remember what it felt like to have my kids in my belly. So what music does for me is it allows me to sit in these memories, in these moments of my life that I want to sit in, that I choose to sit in. So you can use the poetry to remember something that happened to you, or imagine something that you would like to have happen to you that never has. So using, particularly with lyrics, which I think are my favorite part of music, and I could say that with certainty, that lyrics are my absolute favorite part of the puzzle. They allow me worlds and stories to step into. And so what I'm curious about is, if I'm singing a song for the 703rd time, doesn't matter, because there's a whole world in that song I can visit, because the possibilities are truly endless in any moment of time, in any phrase that you're thinking about or reading or singing. You can step into an entire story of your own choosing that is something that has happened, that could happen, or you've heard has happened.
Right.
And it can be happy or sad. It's just, the possibilities are truly endless. And I think that's miraculous. And I'm never not curious about it.
Wow. So in that moment, who is Heather Rice as a musician?
Well, a curious one. Well, I think, I think curious is a great way to describe me, and very project oriented.
Yes.
Because you can't, music won't come to fruition if you don't prepare. And if you don't prepare, then you won't get to have those beautiful, miraculous moments. So there is a fair amount of working hard. There's it can be laborious, like the 16 hours of memorizing, Sometimes it's effortless when you're improvising and it's just a jam session. That's kind of an effortless moment. But most of the work that I do is very project oriented. So I'm thinking about arrangements that will be premiered I was thinking about them in January for that next January. Yes. And how are we going to go from no arrangements to full concert? So the project management is something I've had to kind of grow into. But the moments in music, like, who am I? I am every moment that I've ever had in the song.
Wow.
Even you fit to think about, even subconsciously, like the moments that you had when you were a baby. Yeah. The dreams maybe you don't remember. Right? Like coming into, so I would say, even as I'm talking, I can hear myself being very inspired. There's a lyric that I recently wrote called, that says, and it's a new song I'm writing. If I could recall it. It's a new song, and it goes, I am in awe. Too often I am lonely in wonder. Too often I feel lonely in wonder. And that's very accurate, because sometimes I'm just like driving along and there's a sunset and I just look up at the sky and I think, this happens every day.
Thank God.
And then it's talking with you and you just seeing your beautiful, God, you have such a gorgeous smile.
Thank you.
You have such a beautiful energy. And my husband knew exactly who you were. I'm meeting with Quintin. We're doing close-ups. And I'm pretty focused on music and kids, and if it's not
Right,
music and kids, like
right.
it's exciting that I get to do it at all. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I know Quinn." So I can tell that I would not be lonely and wonder with you.
I
but,
appreciate that.
but oftentimes, yeah, in my life, I think I wish that people were able, and I think sometimes that's a privilege because there's a lot of suffering in the world. But I often wish that other people at times could see the wonder that I was seeing in that moment, and that I could, and I guess that's what I can share in my music.
And in your music, how do you actually go about improvising?
I don't know. I don't know how it happens. I don't have any formal jazz training.
Right, right.
I can tell you that there is a grand comfort in songs that you have prepared many, many times and played. So once you have that comfort level, and also, Leonardo da Vinci said, I don't know if it was 10 or 13, but there's only a certain number of faces
Mm,
in the world, is what he said in his notebooks. And I'm
right.
a big Leonardo da Vinci fan, and am also writing a musical about him. But he says there's only a certain amount of faces. Well, I think that there's only a certain number of songs. And so once you're very, very familiar with a lot of songs, you can start to recognize certain patterns and chord progressions. And if you're comfortable and familiar, that's when you can kind of take flight. So you have this comfort down here that is the song that is familiar, and maybe sections of it. And um, and also, of course, like the classical reference point. I mean, I read music, so that's not to be understated. Um, Knowing what key you're in, what time signature you're in. So there's all this framework around improvisation that happens first,
Yes.
so that 2 + 2 = 4,
Oh,
and then you can kind of paint a red. You can paint a rainbow on top of it.
yes.
But there is like a basis
Mm,
before you get to improvisation. So I think that the familiarity, and then also there's the familiarity and the preparation, but then there's the moment of acceptance of yourself. And I was just talking to Alva Anderson about this. She has a lot
yes.
of good
Yes.
things to say about this, man. Have you interviewed her yet?
She's on my list.
Oh, you're gonna love it. You're gonna
Okay.
love it. I
Great.
basically interviewed her at lunch the other day. I was like,
Ah,
tell me more. Tell me
yes.
more of your stuff. But she was saying that she asks herself during improvisation, um, where am I today?
Mm,
And that's been very powerful for me as an artist, because I wish I was better. I wish I was a
mm,
better singer. I wish I was a better piano player. I wish I had 20 hours this week to practice. But, the question is, where am I today? And then, I would say, what do I have to give?
mm.
And you go from there. You go from wherever you're at. So if all you know how to do improvisationally is to roll down a third. I used to work with my vocal students on this when I was teaching, and they would say, "How do you riff?" And I wouldn't say I'm a professional riffer by any means, but I would say, here are your notes. Or ooh. And then I said, just speed it up slowly. Ooh, 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 ooh. And then they would start speeding things up, and then maybe you add a note here and there. So, yeah, it doesn't matter where you're at. Anyone can improvise.
Yes. And I know I have 5 minutes left with you, but where do you want to be musically in the next 5 to 10 years?
Mm. I am not sure where I will be musically in the next 5 to 10 years, like skill level wise, or like how much I will have produced and be on the road with.
Yes.
So I'm interested to find out. But what I would like to be is I would like to have a really balanced workflow because as a mom, I don't feel like I've really gotten to that point because, like I said, I'm still waking up at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Still staying up till 2 in the morning sometimes. And I'm still doing all my own music video editing, all my own social media, all my own graphic design. So sometimes what I say is, sometimes it feels like 10 to 20% music.
Mm.
And then the rest of it still needs to happen.
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see myself in 5 to 10 years spending more time in music daily that is a structured, like it would be a dream for me to get 9 to 2 or 9 to 3 every single day. And then even in the summertime when the kids are off, that I still am able to touch on music throughout the week. That would be really cool. So I think I think of music as a very like music has me. It's for me. It's a very spiritual experience, and it's something that God gave me to develop and to give to other people. So I don't know where God is going to take my music in the next 5 to 10 years, but I can tell you that I'd like to spend more time doing it.
Yes. And in 20 seconds, Heather, which one of your songs that you've released thus far actually describes you as a parent and a musician?
Probably Worth Loving. Yeah. It's what I want my kids to know about loving other humans. Yes. And every word in that song, I want them to know by heart.
Yes. Oh, yes. Well, this was fun. Singer and songwriter Heather Rice, thank you for your time. And again, welcome to Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you, Quintin.
Well, you're very welcome anytime.